but it's just a second half. This is I mean, you always talk about it, but it's kind of a game by game mentality. But is this kind of that reset mark where you go, hey, look, you kind of reset it and know what you got left, the second half of the season.
I think we've been aware for a couple of weeks, but this is another good time to try to put a reset to it. We got to play better, I think is the deal. So, are we closer to having a rotation set? I think so. Can our top 5 hitters in our lineup, they got to play great, and it's one of those deals where every team probably has a challenge here or there, and we got to make up some ground, and we got to start winning some ball games within the conference. So that second half, having 3 series at home, 3 of the 5 at home when we're on the road, 3 of the 5. You can go through all these scenarios, but I think at the end of the day, can we keep playing a good same defense? Can we stay consistent there? That's the one thing we've probably done the best. Can our 5 best hitters, can they absolutely, swing it, have at bats after having 15 games of rehearsal here, because we still have a lot of new people in that regard too. And can that bottom of the lineup, can they do better as far as just identifying what a good at bat is to flip the lineup and create length in it? That's when we've been at our best. And can a Tommy Bell continue to kind of show consistency? We feel like 2 of the last 3 weekends he's shown some of that. Herbert Holtz gave us a promising outing last week. Can he do that for a run here? That's required. That's needed now. Cannon, Armstrong, Bauman, can they settle in and do some good work out of that bullpen? So I think the effort's been good, and I think the guys have done great. The coaches have stayed with the players, and I can just, the last 3 weeks, just trying to find solutions. But, we're past that. We put ourselves in a position to where now execution has to take place. So can our best players play great, and can we absolutely perform at a higher rate than we did the first 15 games? When you compare, league statistics within our peer group and the conference we play in, it has to get better. And so I believe it can. So this would be the right foot forward. It's home, starting the second half, and this is a huge series, and it's huge for everybody. Every matchup in this league's huge this week, and it's huge for both us and Mississippi State here at home.
You had Frank here a couple weeks ago, and Bo Jackson's on campus this weekend for his Bo Bikes Bama deal. So to have those legends around and connected, how big is that?
Yeah, it's unbelievable. I think the thing with Frank, for this statue being out here forever, it just gives every person in a program, every recruit that comes through here, every current player, every alumni, it gives pride to every current player. It shows a vision of what's possible putting on this uniform, and for every recruit to attract others. Having the only Hall of Famer from the SEC is a big deal. Bo's coming in. I think he might be throwing out the first pitch tomorrow, and just investing in a program that meant a lot to him and this university. Every time those guys come back, I think it just shows an example for our players that you can be connected to this university for the rest of your life, not just your 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 year window that you are here in college, but for the rest of your life. And I appreciate those guys continuing to invest and set and show those examples. That's huge for our young people.
But you talked about how huge this series is. State got off to a really slow start, and I think they've won the last two out of 3 last 2 weekends. What do you see from that?
I think they're getting more healthy on the mound. I think you can see it in the rotation. I know they have a bullpen piece back that pitched twice last weekend. That probably, you start talking about this difference, just like us the last 2 weeks. We really were disappointed not winning series, and it's not moving mountains. It's just 1 or 2 more pieces back. It seems like every week we line up, we're playing an offenses in our league that can absolutely score and are really solid. And that's no different here. You look at Hines, you look at Jordan, a young player that's really swinging the bat well. You see a really good lineup. I think their challenge has been probably defensively, and just, much like our challenges have been. Theirs happened a little bit earlier with probably the strike zone, but I think getting a couple of real pieces back. I think Cade Smith is back in there in that first slot for them. I think, is it Nixon that was a Texas transfer? with a good slider back in the bullpen. That makes them better. So they've had a good offense the entire time. I think they're putting pieces together back on the mound or feel better about it, and there you go. You win a couple of series there. So I think they're trending and getting in a better place. And it's a good roster, and it has been a good roster the entire time with a ton of talent. So it always feels the same with me, regardless of what team it is, that we've had a chance to win every series except maybe the first one on the road. So yeah, huge series. I think they're trending in the right way. They've had recent success, and but we have to take it a step up. They deserve a better brand of ball and we need to be at a better brand than we've played to have a chance to win this series.
You talked about getting pieces back. I know Sheehan, the results haven't been there, but have you seen progress from him on the mound or in practice? And how has the last week been for Joseph Gonzalez?
Yeah, I would say hit or miss with Tommy. I think the first outing, I think it was UAB, went great. The second outing, I think at Alabama, did not go as great on how he felt. So I would have to say that's a toss-up in the air, and I think he'd be questionable for this weekend. Joseph is feeling better and being progressed ahead of time. He'll start throwing to a mitt today, and I could see him back as early as next week. If it's not next week, it could be the following week. So maybe more positive than I thought to this point. But we'll see how today goes. And again, over the weekend and early next week, we still have 3 more benchmarks to see if we could size him up for next weekend. If not, it would probably be the next week. But he's reported feeling better than he has in a long time. So that's good. So we're just taking it a day at a time. But he's got to start seeing the mid. He hadn't thrown since opening day. But we all know what the potential Joseph could give us being back. And it's one thing to be back. It's another thing to be able to throw your best competitive in this league, dropping in the middle of the season. So, but we couldn't be more positive with Joseph, and Tommy's return is kind of up in the air.
It's just Herbert Holtz has experience as a starter. Have you seen that maybe that experience help him to kind of find it a little bit earlier, maybe some of these younger guys?
Yeah, I think so. Maturity, experience. I really thought he just leaned on the strike zone good the other day and changed speeds. It was good. I like to see him continue to do that. I do think there was an adjustment for him coming to our league, just the talent, the depth of the lineup, and having to compete against that. But it seemed like his changeup set a little bit better now, and fastball played in his own and pitched up and got chased a little bit. I just feel like he's at the best place he's been all year, and would hopefully he could get his stuff set the way he did last weekend for a couple of weeks here to get us going. It feels like the stuff's good enough. He's in the zone enough and changing speeds enough and getting to an entire arsenal. It would really help us if he could get to his stuff and his setup be the same way it was last week for a couple of starts here.
And what will be your rotation this week?
We'll go Vail and Herbert Holtz and TBA for this weekend. But I think that's the best way to attack it.
Looking at Mississippi State, how do you prep for a switch pitcher? Like thinking about, like what do you do?
Yeah, he's been primarily, going one hand or the other. Here, I think recently more right-handed. I just what you have is you break down your video, you watch the pitcher. But all of these guys, they're used to either same-sided bats, right on right or right on left. So I think you just he'll make his presence known. And I think about McMurray's a guy left-handed that you could see something change there. Just being prepared for it. You got your at bats that you have this year, and you just watch them and break them down, and then you see what shows up in the moment.